Hi guys, today we're going to be reading the next part of the Borderline Personality Disorder Workbook by Daniel J. Fox. Today's part is called BPD is a Spectrum. I just want to point out that another disorder, which is referred to as a spectrum, is autism, the autism spectrum. Autistic people are on the autism spectrum. Here we are discussing the BPD spectrum. As you went through the preceding exercise, you may have noticed that some of your behaviors, feelings, and thoughts are not as intense, or perhaps are more intense than Betty's. That's normal because no one's BPD is identical to anyone else's. The intensity or severity of each criterion is unique to each person, as is how it impacts one's life. Betty's behavior, as it relates to some of the criteria, is severe or extreme, serving as important sources of pain and possibly even danger for her. The same may not be true for you. This difference in presentation is what helps therapists determine where an individual falls on the BPD spectrum, which ranges from mild to extreme. If Betty is an example of someone who falls at the extreme end of the BPD spectrum, where do you think you fall? In the exercise below, circle where on the spectrum you think you fall for each BPD criterion. Take your time and just answer what feels right to you. What feels right for you. There are no right or wrong answers, only what you think, and that's good enough. Frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. Do you feel like you are mild, moderate, severe, or extreme? What they want you to do is go through and rate yourself as mild, moderate, severe, or extreme on each of the 8 criteria. When you're done with that, you will have some idea of where you fit on there. Now that you've identified the symptoms that impact you the most, the ones that influence how you see yourself, the world around you, and those within it, let's piece together what influenced your answers and describe it below. Why did you rate yourself mild, moderate, severe, or extreme as you did? You can consider the number of symptoms marked at a particular level, specific symptoms that cause you to judge yourself harshly, and so on. So go ahead and take a minute and write down, why did you rate yourself the way that you did? Alright, the next part. In what part or parts of your life, for example, relationships with family and friends, work, how you see yourself, and so on, do these symptoms cause the greatest problem? So now they want to know in what part or parts of your life do these symptoms cause the greatest problems? Those 8 symptoms that we've been talking about. In what part or parts of your life are they causing the greatest problem? And then the last one is, when you look back at your responses to the questions above and your ratings, what have you learned about your BPD? That's really the first part where you're learning anything about your BPD. Learning about and exploring your BPD will help you grow beyond it, but sometimes it can make you feel like you're alone. You may feel like you're the only one having these feelings, thoughts, memories, and reactions, but it's important to remember that you're not alone. BPD is a disorder that many people experience. How common is BPD? Feeling alone is common for people with BPD, so common that it's a criterion, chronic feelings of emptiness for the disorder, but you're not alone. Approximately 18 million, or nearly 6% of adults in the United States have been diagnosed with BPD. Historically, women were diagnosed with BPD more often than men, as much as 3 to 1, but nearly an equal amount of both genders meet the criteria for BPD. In other parts of the world, the prevalence of BPD ranges between 1.4% and 5.9% of the general population. As you can see from these statistics, many individuals are dealing with BPD and are working to overcome it. Setting the stages for success. Using some paper, pull together what you learned from this chapter so you can take this information with you. I want you to write down what has been the most helpful information you learned from this chapter. The top 3 things, the 3 most helpful informations. While going through this chapter, I was thinking, what were you thinking? I know I was thinking that this really explains me. And it helped me to see that there is hope, that I won't always feel and react this way. That's what I think this book is. This book is hope. This workbook is for and about men and women like Betty and you who have to deal with issues related to BPD, be they traits or the full diagnosis. Throughout this workbook, I use the term borderline personality disorder, BPD, when discussing the thoughts, feelings, reactions, beliefs, and wishes of people who fall somewhere on the BPD spectrum. However, it is not my intention to define or label individuals based on this term or diagnosis. It's important to remember that a diagnosis is used for treatment and not for self-definition. It's my hope that you'll find this exploration of BPD to be a route to healing and growth, along which you'll find ways to control and overcome it. Now that you know more about what BPD